Professor Zalthek adjusted his crystalline teaching apparatus with one of his 4 metallic appendages, the holographic display shimmering to life, before the assembled students of the Galactic Academy's xenobiology course. The lecture hall, carved from living coral on the moon of Thyros Prime, buzzed with the quiet anticipation of minds eager to learn. Today, Zalthek announced, his voice resonating through the universal translator implants each student wore, we study the most pitifully fragile species. In known space, a cautionary tale of biological inadequacy that somehow managed to stumble into interstellar civilization. The display showed a bipedal creature, standing upright on 2 impossibly thin legs, arms dangling at its sides. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Karath, a student from the dense atmosphere world of Vexna, clicked his mandibles in disbelief. Professor, surely this is a joke? I assure you it is not, Zalthek replied, manipulating the hologram to show internal anatomical structures. Observe. No exoskeleton, no natural armor plating, no venomous glands, no electromagnetic organs. Their bones, made of mere calcium compounds, break under moderate pressure. Their skin, thinner than a starship hull by factors of millions, tears from simple contact with rough surfaces. Silandra, whose crystalline body could withstand the pressure of gas-giant atmospheres, pulsed with confusion. How do they defend themselves from predators? They don't, Zalthek continued, clearly enjoying the shock value of his lesson. No claws worth mentioning, teeth suitable only for grinding plant matter, reaction times embarrassingly slow by galactic standards. Their homeworld's gravity well should have crushed any spacefaring ambitions, yet somehow these humans now operate ships throughout the galaxy. A new voice spoke from the back of the hall. With respect, Professor, I think you're missing something important. Every head, sensor cluster, and optical array turned toward the speaker. In the back row sat a figure none of them had particularly noticed before, roughly the same size as the creature in the hologram, wearing simple clothing that seemed almost primitive compared to the advanced biosuits and mechanical interfaces worn by other students. Zalthek's optical sensors focused on the newcomer. And you are? Marcus Chen, the figure replied, standing slowly. Exchange student from Earth, and unless I'm mistaken, you're teaching about my species. The lecture hall fell into absolute silence. Krath's mandibles clicked nervously. Silandra's crystalline structure flickered with what could only be described as embarrassment. Even Professor Zalthek's usually confident demeanor wavered. Marcus walked down the steps toward the holographic display, his soft-soled shoes making barely any sound against the coral floor. May I? Zalthek gestured wordlessly with 2 of his appendages. You're right about most of those things, Marcus said, standing next to the anatomical projection of his own species. We are fragile. Our bones do break easily. Our skin tears. We don't have claws or natural armor. He paused, looking around the room at faces and optical sensors and bioluminescent patches that served as eyes for species he couldn't even identify. But you know what we do have? Marcus reached up and tapped his temple. We have this. And more importantly, he gestured around the room, his movement encompassing every student present. We have the ability to see potential where others see weakness. He turned to address the class directly. Every species in this room, every civilization in the Galactic Confederation was discovered by humans. Not because we're the strongest or the fastest or the most technically advanced. We found you because when we look at the universe, we don't see obstacles, we see possibilities. Marcus pointed to Karath. Your people live in atmosphere so dense that our ships would be crushed before reaching your surface. We didn't see that as a barrier. We developed pressure suits and specialized technology to meet you in your world. He turned to Silandra. Your crystalline structure processes information in ways our computers can't match. Instead of seeing you as incompatible, we learned to interface with your thought patterns and invited you to our universities. The human paused, letting his words settle over the room like atmospheric pressure equalizing. You see, fragility isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's adaptability. We had to learn to work with what we had, to cooperate, to build tools and communities and relationships because we couldn't survive alone. Professor Zalthek, his 4 appendages now hanging slack at his sides, said quietly, but surely your survival was mere luck. Marcus smiled, an expression that somehow translated perfectly across species barriers. Maybe, but we had help. He gestured again to the assembled students. Every world we found, every species we encountered taught us something new. The Vexnans taught us about pressure dynamics. The Therosians shared their biotechnology. The Crystalline Collective showed us computational methods we never could have imagined. He moved back toward the holographic display, standing once again next to the image of human anatomy. We're not the strongest or the fastest or the smartest species in the galaxy, but we might be the most curious. And when you combine curiosity with fragility, you get something interesting. You get a species that knows it needs friends. The lecture hall remained silent for several moments. Finally, Karath spoke up, his voice softer than before. So your fragility became your strength? Our fragility taught us cooperation, Marcus corrected gently. Our strength came from everyone else. Professor Zalthek slowly manipulated his teaching apparatus, causing the holographic display to shift. Instead of showing human anatomy in isolation, it now displayed a complex web of interconnected species, trade routes, communication networks, collaborative research projects, and joint exploration missions that spanned the galaxy. Perhaps, the professor said thoughtfully, the lesson here is not about fragile species, but about the unexpected ways that perceived weaknesses can become the foundation for something greater. Marcus nodded as he returned to his seat. The universe is big and dangerous and full of things that can kill you, but it's also full of friends you haven't met yet. Sometimes the best survival strategy is knowing how to make those friends and being worth befriending in return. As the class ended and students began filing out, many stopped to speak with Marcus, asking questions about Earth, about human culture, about the technologies and ideas their species might share. Professor Zalthek watched from his position at the front of the hall, updating his lecture notes. Tomorrow's class would be different. Tomorrow he would teach about the strength found in vulnerability, the power discovered in cooperation, and the remarkable way that sometimes the most fragile things in the universe could become the foundation upon which everything else was built. The lesson on fragile species, it turned out, had been more educational than anyone expected.